Welcome to our channel. Please like the video, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you do not miss any new stories. The horrifying legacy of the Times Square torso killer. Times Square is a glitzy tourist destination nowadays. But in the second half of the 20th century, it developed a considerably worse reputation. Along with being a haven for prostitution, peep shows, and pornographic businesses, Times Square also served as Richard Cottingham's the torso killer hunting's ground. Between 1979 and 1980, Cottingham brutally murdered sex workers for around 6 months. He quickly gained the nicknames, the Times Square Torso Killer or the New York Ripper, after leaving several people without hands or heads. The depth of Cottingham's depravity, however, was considerably more than the authorities had initially suspected. Richard Cottingham had murdered several girls and women in New Jersey in addition to sex workers. The torso killer claims to have killed over 100 people so far. When firefighters were called to the Travel Inn near Times Square on December 2, 1979, the tale of the torso killer officially began. They rushed into room 417 where they discovered 2 severely charred dead on twin beds. One was seized by a firefighter in an effort to save a life. The firefighters discovered they had stumbled across a grisly crime scene as the smoke cleared. Before the killer doused them both in lighter fluid and departed, the women who were still in the room had been strangled and had had their heads and hands severed. One of them was identified as sex worker Dita Godarzi, 22. The other, a 16-year-old, is still known only as Jane Doe. Police who were perplexed had little leads to follow. Carl Wilson of Merlin, New Jersey, was the fictitious name and address used by the murderer to register at the hotel, and the staff hardly ever spoke to him. They provided a potential description of a 30-year-old male with brown hair who is approximately 5 feet 10 inches and weighs 175 pounds. At the time, Deputy Chief Richard Nicastro remarked, "We don't know if he's the one who hired the room. We're not completely excluding the idea that there might have been 2 men involved." A cleaner at a Quality Inn in New Jersey discovered Valerie and Street, 19's body tucked under the bed a few months later, on May 5, 1980. Street, a sex worker who had just recently arrived from Florida, had been killed by being beaten, bit, bound, and strangled. And less than a month later, firefighters in the area of Times Square discovered something else horrifying. The death of 25-year-old sex worker Jean Rayner was discovered in the Seville Motel on May 15. Her assailant had also severed her breasts and left bite scars all over her body. The torso killer appeared to be intensifying quickly. But a week later, when his intended victim Leslie and Odell yelled for help at the Quality Inn, police were able to capture him there. Richard Cottingham, 33, was detained by police there. Richard Cottingham, who was born on November 25, 1946, in the Bronx, appeared to lead a typical life. He had grown up in New Jersey, had 3 kids, and had been married to Janet since 1970. He was residing with his family in New Jersey at the time of his arrest and spending his days in New York working as a computer operator at Blue Cross Blue Shield Association. However, Richard Cottingham appeared to be leading a double life. He informed Janet that he required an apartment in New York City because he worked late at night. Additionally, Richard stayed too long in their basement, where Janet later discovered women's clothing, shoes, and jewelry. In addition, Richard admitted to having a bondage fetish and having a lot of extramarital affairs. Janet even requested a divorce in 1979, but she later changed her mind. Nevertheless, New York and New Jersey were appalled by the severity of Richard Cottingham's actions. Odell, who had escaped the torso killer's attack, explained how he tormented his victims. Odell testified, "Cottingham told me to shut up, that I was a whore, and I had to be punished. He claimed that since the other girls took it, I had to take it as well." He said that countless times. At one of Cottingham's trials, it was also revealed that the 28-year-old X-ray technician Marianne Carr, whose body was discovered at the Quality Inn in 1977, was the 5th victim. What prompted this 3-time married parent to kill? Later, Cottingham called his motivations a game and mostly psychological. Many years after being found guilty of 5 murders, he claimed that he could psychologically persuade practically any woman to do whatever he desired. It's almost like God. You have total influence over someone's future. Richard Cottingham received a 300-year prison term after being found guilty of 5 murders. However, it soon became clear that the torso killer had killed far more than just 5 people. Although Richard Cottingham is primarily known for killing sex workers, he frequently killed whenever he had the chance. Furthermore, the Times Square killer has admitted to several further killings owing to a persistent New Jersey detective. Detective Robert Anzilotti started to question if Cottingham had killed more people than authorities were aware of after becoming haunted by many unsolved murders in New Jersey. Even though victims and tactics were different, Anzilotti claimed, "I thought he could be accountable for some." His name had been mentioned several times in the cold case literature of Bergen County. The Times Square killer and the detective so began to interact. Cottingham was escorted into his office where he was offered food and card games. Cottingham first refused, but as time went on, he gradually started to talk about his previous atrocities. Richard Cottingham finally admitted to the murders of Nancy Vogel, 29, in 1967, Jackie Harp, 13, in 1968, Irene Blasé, 18, and Denise Falaska, 15, in 1969, and Mary Ann Pryor, 17, and Lorraine Kelly, 16, in 1974, all because to Anzilotti's tenacity. Cottingham had abducted Pryor and Kelly when they requested him for a ride, which was a harbinger of things to come. He took them to a hotel room where he tormented them before discarding their naked bodies. Despite Anzilotti's retirement, the investigator thinks Richard Cottingham may be accountable for dozens of further unsolved crimes. As of right now, the torso killer asserts that he may have killed as many as 100 people.